Hello everyone, I'm Noye and this is AfriFic Rev Space. That is African Fiction Review Space. And today we are reviewing Bernadine Evaristo's Girl, Woman, Other. Evaristo is a professor of creative writing at Brunel University, London. She's a prolific writer, and in 2019 she was joint winner of the Booker Prize with Margaret Atwood. And this novel, Girl, Woman, Other, gave her that prize. The prize was launched in 1969 and she won it in 2019. So if you do the mathematics, you will see the number of years it took a black woman to win the prize. So she's the first black woman ever to win the Booker Prize. It's a big win and we need to give it all the attention that it deserves. The novel revolves around the intersection of racism, class, gender, and sexuality in the lives of 12 Black British female protagonists. It's divided into 5 chapters. The first 4 chapters explore the lives of these 12 protagonists. Each chapter, from chapter 1 to chapter 4, has 3 divisions. Each of the characters' names is used to indicate their own stories. For instance, in chapter 1 we have Amma, Yaz, and Dominic. And then chapter 5 is entitled The After Party, which is where they celebrate Amma's win as a playwright, an actress, and a film director. And also during the party, some of the characters also think about like what they've done in the past, their failures, and what they can do in the future to get better at how they live their lives and in their relationships with other people. The central ideas of the novel revolves around intersectional feminism, identity, love and friendship, and abandonment. And in this review, we'll be looking at the structure of the novel and how this structure intersects with intersectional feminism. So, for structure, Evaristo herself calls the form of this novel fusion fiction. And this is from fusion literature, where you have the blending of different genres of literature. So you can have poetic forms in the novel, or you can have dramatic forms in the novel. And in this one, part of what she uses to make her form unconventional is that she uses unconventional sentence and paragraph structures. So in English, we use capital letters to begin sentences, and then we use full stop to end the sentence. But in this novel, she uses small letters to begin her sentences, and then she leaves spaces. So when a sentence ends, instead of putting a full stop, she'll just leave the space on the line, and then she goes to the next line, begins a new sentence. So she indents that new sentence like she's indenting a paragraph, and then she continues to write. When she comes to the end again, she leaves a space and then she goes to the next line. So that way we have a pattern on the pages of the novel that have this zigzag shape. So every page of the novel has the zigzag shape, and the reason for this is so that the thoughts from previous sentences can easily flow into subsequent ones. So there's no full stop to stop the flow of thoughts. Then where she uses capital letters to begin her sentences are just where you have proper names. So if we have something like Amma or Carol or Yaz or Bumi and the other characters, she will use capital letters to begin the sentences. Another place also where I notice she uses capital letter is where God, G-O-D, begins a sentence. So that is some of the things she uses in the form. And then also she uses the Adikran symbols from Akan culture. Like today you have the Akan culture, you find that in Ghana, in Togo, in Ivory Coast. So those forms have like the qualities that they represent. For instance, for Yaz, we have the Afro comb, and for Bumi, we have the crocodile. So the Afro comb is an identity of African heritage. It shows that whoever is using that, or whoever that represents, is proud of connecting to their African heritage. And then for the crocodile, that's from Akan culture, and it's from this proverb that says that the crocodile lives in water, but it breathes in the air. So it shows adaptability and wisdom, and we find this in the life of Bumi, the mother of Carol, especially when Carol, after her first semester at Oxford University, decides to drop out of school because she feels she doesn't fit into the world of Oxford University. And then her mother tells her, I didn't give birth to a quitter, you are a fighter and you have to go and fight it out. We are not suffering for you to grow up to also become an adult who cannot take care of yourself, you know. And so with that kind of courageous, encouraging words, her daughter goes back to Oxford University and she succeeds. She gets a degree in mathematics and becomes the vice president of a bank. So that is for the structure. Then how the structure intersects with intersectional feminism. First of all, what is intersectional feminism? Intersectional feminism, according to the lady who propounded it, Kimberly Crenshaw, centers the voices of those experiencing overlapping concurrent forms of oppression in order to understand the depths of the inequalities and the relationships among them in any given context, end of quote. So what this means is that intersectional feminists look for aspects of an individual's identity that overlap or converge to compound their oppression in a given society. So for instance, in the Nigerian society, like in northern Nigeria, if you're a woman, gender and religion can converge to compound the discrimination against you in society. In the West, Black women, race and gender can converge to increase their oppression in such societies. So intersectional feminism, they try to look into some of those things. And then under intersectional feminism, I'm going to look at three principles that they consider when they talk about intersectional feminism. So the three areas are multiple identities, compound discrimination, and the promotion of inclusivity in a text. So intersectional feminists believe that identities are multiple. So what that means is that when you see somebody, there are different aspects of their identities that come together to form who they are. So you don't see a woman and you just begin to look at her as, you know, a woman, or you see a man and you just say, oh, he's a man. So we have an example with Ama. For instance, Ama is the daughter of a Ghanaian journalist who is very politically active. At home, he talks about the politics he's involved in, and his socialist ideas also begin to help to shape Ama's worldview. So she also grows up to become a lesbian feminist, and she's born in the 1960s in the UK. She goes to school there. After she finishes high school, she goes to a drama school and then she graduates. So if you look at it, you're going to be checking all the aspects of her world, from her childhood to the time we meet her in the novel, how they all converge to form who she is, to shape the lens with which she looks at the world. Then we also have Yaz. Yaz is Ama's daughter. I've already talked about Ama. Ama is a playwright, an actress, and a film director. And she's also a lesbian feminist who is polyamorous. And then not her partner, because you can also call him her partner, but the professor who is Yaz's father is a gay man who also has a partner. He's a professor of modern life, and someone who debates regularly on TV with people in his class. So when we check the parentage of Yaz, their daughter, we begin to understand how the worldview of her mother, the kind of circle in which her mother moves in, the kind of circle in which her father moves in, how all those things will converge to set her up to become the person she becomes by the time we meet her in the novel. She interacts with her father's colleagues, interacts with people from the theater world and their creativity and all of that. So these are some of the things. And then she's also a Black woman. So these are aspects of her identity that we should all look at when we are considering who she is. So that's what they mean under multiple identities. Then for compound discrimination, we see that in Amma, Dominic, and Carol. So by the time they graduate from the drama school and they want to begin to act as actresses, they discover that because they are Black women in London, that the roles that are available to them are the roles of prostitutes, servants, and maids. And because they don't want to audition for those roles, for many years they are marginalized, they're on the margins of the theater, they don't get to act in any play or movie because they are not interested in those roles. And so they begin to think of how to form their own theater space where they will be able to do things the way they want to do them. So if you look at it, aspects of their identity that converge to compound their discrimination will be their race and their gender. And then for Carol graduates from Oxford University. Her parents are from Nigeria, but when they give birth to her in the UK, they decide to call her Carol. They don't want to give her any name that will give her a problem in that society. So when she graduates from the University of Oxford, she becomes the vice president of a bank. And then when people come to meet her, they see the name is a white name, Carol. And then when they come, they haven't met her for the first time. They see a Black woman, they'll just walk past her. And then when she introduces herself as the vice president of the bank, you'll see their shock and their surprise, and they begin to readjust, And then Carol, who just, in her mind, she'll say, yes, I'm the vice president. It's a shock to you, but that's the reality here. So if you look at it, again, it's her race and her gender that have converged to, bring about the disrespect that she experiences. And then the other one is promotion of inclusivity. So under promotion of inclusivity, you see how the author brings this in. She gives us 12 protagonists. In conventional text, you can have one protagonist or two protagonists, but we have 12 protagonists and they have equal space in the novel. When she talks about them, she gives us the trajectory of who they have become and who they are becoming from their childhood to their adult state. For instance, when we look at the life of Yaz, her friends, when they see her, they'll say, Yaz, you're supposed to be a damaged person, because how can you be raised by a gay father who has a partner, or a polyamorous lesbian feminist mother, and you will turn out well? So if you look at it, you'll see that these people who are saying she's supposed to be damaged, they are looking at her from just the angle of sexuality. They are considering the sexuality of her parents, and they are using that to assess or to judge how she should turn out. But surprisingly, or eventually, she turns out as, a straight person in her sexual orientation. And then also, sometimes, like when Yaz invites her friend Courtney to come and spend the weekend in her mother's house, she gives her friend the heads up that, sometimes early in the morning, my mother's friends will be walking about the house half naked. That's the way they act. But she's not judgmental in, her tone. And she's just giving her friend the heads up, this is what you're going to see. So you make up your mind if you want to come. That's how my home is. So if you look at it, this is all part of what the author uses to try to ensure that everybody is accepted the way they are. And then she also makes them to succeed. Many of them are from lesbian, gay communities, but they succeed. They are good people. They relate well with people. They also relate well with people from heterosexual communities. So that is how the author tries to ensure that everybody is like given equal ground to succeed and to thrive in this society. There is no discrimination, and even where there is discrimination, for instance, where Amma, is resentful towards her father because her father controls her mother absolutely, he's very dominating, but eventually she now tells herself, probably the reason I'm not happy with my dad is because I am looking at him from my feminist vision of the world. Meanwhile, the man has a different vision. So that is a way of saying people are different, but everybody should be allowed to be themselves in the world. People should be accepted the way they are. That's part of how she incorporates the inclusivity. And then structurally, when you look at it, you begin to understand why there is no full stop. So she tries to ensure that from the very beginning to the end, that all these thoughts, they blend and they come together. So you can be thinking of how different aspects of their identities converge to compound the discrimination against them, or you can think of that in terms of inclusivity. So that is that. Then under language, I like the way that she brings in poetic form into the language of the text. It helps to animate the musical quality of the text. For instance, in page 128, where Carol talks about her life, how she wants to work hard and be a woman who will rise above poverty and have a better life. So she looks at her friends, her classmates, and she says if they continue the way they are, it means that they are not going to succeed. So I'll read part of what she has here. She saw their futures and hers as baby mothers pushing prams, pushing fatherless time bombs, forever scrambling down the side of sofas for change to feed the meter like mom, shopping in pound land like mom, scrambling around markets at closing time for scrag ends like mom. Not me, not me, not me, she told herself. I shall fly above and beyond. Be gone from tower blocks with leaves stinking of peace. Be gone from rotten low-paid jobs or the dead-end door key. Be gone from raising my children alone. Be gone from never being able to afford my own home like mom, or take my children on holiday or to the zoo like mom, or to the movies or the fun fair or anywhere except church. So if you look at it, you'll see how the arrangement of the words help to animate the musical quality of the novel. And then finally, what I like most about this text is Evaristo's incorporation of the different trajectories in the worlds of the different characters that all converge to form who they are by the time we meet them. And then the structure of the text also says something about identity being liquid. It's not something fixed. So when you see somebody and you're reading them in that linear way, like she's a woman, then it means that you're just looking straight. You're not considering all aspects of the world that they have inhabited and how those aspects have shaped who they have become. So she really paid a lot of attention to showing how identities are formed. And then if you are a budding writer and you are considering trying to use unconventional forms in your writing, I think this is a good novel that you can use to try out that way of writing. And if you have not subscribed for this channel, if you've not subscribed to this channel, please hit the subscribe button now. Like and share this video with family and friends, not just people in literature. It's something that will help to widen your worldview. So thank you for watching. Till next time, take care. Igbo Kwen.